Welcome back, everyone, to Pontos Fathom Press. This is our book review series where we kind of go through some of the books we're talking about today. The Psychoanalysis of R'lyeh, Book 2 of August Moldenhauer Lovecraft series, inspired, called the Cthulhu Journals Out of Lovecraft's Providence. The first volume is the Genealogy of Cthulhu, and the third volume is the Archaeology of Yog-Sothoth. I've got a video talking about the whole series as well as individual books for each one. Today we're going to focus on Psychoanalysis of R'lyeh, and this also has a companion. We do a podcast here at Pontos Fathom. Our episode 3 of the Pontos Fathom podcast will talk about translating of cryptic ruins that came to various authors and occultists and writers through dreams. So, we have Lovecraft gets these weird Lovecraftian, Cthulian utterances that he reproduces in Call of Cthulhu and Dunwich Horror. He's got some of these phrases that are like the cultists produced. But also in Jung's Black Books, we come across some ruins that he saw in a dream that were attributed to like a demon or a devil called Ha. And Dr. John Dee's Enochian magic. We'll talk about that in our episode 3 podcast. So in that tradition, we've got Psychoanalysis of R'lyeh, which is a exploration of purported Necronomicon fragments called the Providence Cipher and the Necronomicon fragment, in which this similar kind of strange Lovecraftian Cthulian dialect is not only presented but translated, and some analysis is done on that. So let's go into the table of contents. Again, we've got the quote from the series that says the most significant work of the Necronomicon will be carried out not by magicians but by the followers of Carl Jung, describing so far unsuspected layers of the unconscious mind by Colin Wilson. So we see in the contents, we've got the preface series introduction, we've got the introduction of R'lyeh Rising, which I'll read from today. And then we have of the R'lyeh language, so the origins of the Providence Cipher and the Necronomicon fragment, and details of those dialects as they are pulled out. Some of that overlaps with the familiar phrases from Lovecraft. We'll talk about those phrases in my podcast 3 on the deciphering the ruins. We also have some astrology of Cthulhu. I mean, although Lovecraft was said to think astrology was not important, we do hear him say that when the stars are right. So this is an interesting place to explore, like the psychological language of astrology, and also the phenomena that we see in astrology. So some of that is here. We talk about the psychoanalysis of R'lyeh now. So there's this cosmic pessimism and psychosis. Anything that's underwater is unconscious, right? And we have a sleeping city beneath the ocean. We wonder what we're really exploring. But then we go into some other permutations of this with the non-Euclidean topology of madness and the permeability of the fleshy mammalian minds. And then there's translations of the Providence Cipher, transcriptions of the text, and facsimile pages of the original journals, as well as a glossary of phrases and a list of words. So you can see here there's some analysis throughout the book of the various fragments. Here's the astrological charts, and then we have reproduced some translations, and some pages of the journals are reproduced here with the glossary of phrases in the back. Okay, so let's go into, let's just jump into a section to kind of give a flavor of, by introduction. So introduction, R'lyeh Rising, August Moldenhauer, 2016. Language is at the core of psychoanalysis. From its earliest incarnations, it was referred to as the talking cure. And yet, by contrast, we have the often cited quotation from H.P. Lovecraft regarding these preternatural things that come in the mouth of madness to the fleshy minds of mortals. Here, then, psychoanalysis enters not only a possibility, but as a fundamental and guiding principle for any possible Lovecraft studies, in which so much of the horrors are ascribed to those generally collected neuroses as paranoia, hysteria, and psychosis. In his introduction to the interpretation of dreams, Freud quotes appropriately regarding Acheron, that subterranean river leading to Hades. For if dream work itself presents in situ as a navigation of the chthonic river, then not only are the nightmares of Lovecraft's dream cycle so aligned, but the concept of Cthulhu's dead dreaming takes on interesting characteristics. Pathologically, Cthulhu's dead dreaming becomes most simply a choice of language for Lovecraft, and therefore open to Freudian or Lacanian interpretation. More so if viewed through the lens of the language of the occult, this dead dreaming of Cthulhu submerged beneath the ocean in sunken R'lyeh takes on frightening proportions when viewed not as an instance of the role of the imagination in the language of psychosis, but as the real, which can bring about the psychosis by very nature of the xenodemonic that it represents. As the Cthulhu Journal's notebooks progress into the realms of the occult, this work is dedicated to the analysis of the fragments of the R'lyeh language provided, as well as the various astrological charts presented in the notebooks. I must note that for these sections I have chosen to approach the analysis both scientifically as well as paranormally, utilizing techniques from both fields and identifying my methods and their surely polarizing views accordingly. Section 6 focuses on the drawings and figures presented in the original notebooks, and Section 7 is a forensic study of elements of the physical notebooks and their construction. Beyond the final conclusions based on the evidence presented throughout the last volumes, Cthulhu Journals in 2 formats, there is much interest in this author as well as those readers who wish to continue these studies. Transcripts of the handwritten notebooks and facsimile prints are provided. August Moldenhauer, 2016. Okay, so there you have it. An overview of the psychoanalysis of R'lyeh. We do have some great transcriptions to the Providence cipher here. Some of the translations have been lost, but some of them are provided. I'll just leave you guys with one more. Cthulhu, the hidden one, has fallen from outer space, unfolded from deep cauldrons of dark matter, hidden, unknown origins, unknowable as unsung songs. He finds oceans an encircling world serpent, coiled in his chosen sleep until the twilight of the gods. Wave-form delight, epicycling outward, harmonic and discordian. This thing shunts within its own endless seizure, a night terror, a stillborn dream of theft, a hope that is a fear, a waking that is only star-born, forgotten now in a watery grave, a god hidden in a soup teeming, a dark promise, a swallowed convulsion, tentacles rising across multiple dimensions, out of phase, poised, dead dreaming intellect, pulses sleeping influence. And with that, I will bring this episode to an end. Hey, if you like what we're doing here, please like and subscribe. If you'd like to leave a comment, I'm really interested in reading the comments and starting a dialogue that way. We can also interact on Patreon. I have a link below where I will be doing a full read-through of Psychoanalysis of R'lyeh and hopefully be doing some live streams once the channel grows a little bit. So I'm looking forward to getting together and discussing some of this work. And also check out the podcasts. And thanks for coming, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care and bye-bye.